Update. My 24 female friend, 24 female, wants me to believe that my fiancé, 28 male, violated her. Original story. I'm out of town for the weekend. Had to go babysit for my sister. My friend knows this and still decided to go to my apartment because she was too drunk to make it to her place. She knew I wouldn't be there. Her and my fiancé barely even talk. They never hang out unless I'm there. But supposedly, she still went without even telling me. My fiancé messaged me right away that she was there and that he didn't know what to do. I told him to let her stay in our guest bedroom. She went to bed and my fiancé and I FaceTimed until super late. My friend didn't tell me that she was there until this morning. She calls me saying that she went to stay at my place last night, but had to leave super early this morning after my fiancé violated her. She swears it happened. After talking to him, I feel like it's possible that it didn't happen. I don't want to dismiss my friend's feelings, but I've also known my fiancé for over 10 years and know he's a good guy. I've known this friend for a year and I don't think she's a bad person either. My friend said she won't press charges, but just wants me to know what he did. I don't know what to believe. Of course, this all happens 2 months from our wedding. How should I handle this? How do I know who's lying? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Isn't it super fishy the fact that she went to your place even though she knew you weren't there? Why would she go there if she doesn't even talk to your boyfriend? Was she out drinking by herself? It just doesn't make any sense to me. That part where she won't press any charges but she wants you to know sounds more like, I just want you to break up with him based solely on what I'm telling you. That's how I felt too. If the man I'm about to marry is like that, then please help me put him in jail. I still don't get why she went to our place either. Tell her to get a kit test done. Her response will help you gauge whether it's BS, because sounds like it is. Offer your support to go with her to the hospital to get a kit. Ask what she needs from your apartment to prove this happened, because obviously he should go to jail if he's really that person, right? I would take your fiancé's word on this, to be honest. Not a bad idea. I'm back in town this afternoon. Maybe I'll tell her I can take her to the hospital as soon as I'm back. I really want to take my fiancé's word on this too, but I don't want to just assume that she's lying either. Most likely scenario, your boyfriend was not interested in her advances and fabricated a story to get you to break up. Nothing happened, except her being drunkenly half-dressed in the hallway. The fact your friend knew you were not there but showed up without contacting you makes her suspicious, and she's the one that set up your boyfriend to be the bad guy. I really can't understand why she didn't let me know until this morning. She was with it enough to remember my address, but not to call me? That's so weird to me. And now for the update. Hey guys, here's the update. Finally. So long story short, my friend made it all up. My plan was to go to her place once I'd come back in town and try to get her to go get a test kit done. Unfortunately, I was stuck at my sister's with her kids. So my fiancé decided to go to her place without telling me and got the truth out her. He recorded their conversation, thankfully. She admitted that she lied, and I also found out that she was the one trying to kiss him multiple times that night, before he finally told her to go to bed or he'd kick her out. He told her we have a camera in our hallway, and we'll be taking it to the cops to sue her if she doesn't tell me the truth. She messaged me after their conversation, and instead of just admitting what she did, she tried to blame me, saying that these past few months all I've been talking about is the wedding. It is like I don't have time for her anymore. That her lying about this was the only way for her to get my attention. I tried to call her after that, and she wouldn't answer my phone calls. I even went to her place after I got back in town, and she wouldn't open the door. So needless to say, she will not be a part of my wedding. I've never had a lot of friends, and now I'm wondering what's even the point if all they bring is trouble. Anyway, thank you so much for your ideas and advice. You guys are the best. She wasn't your friend. Friends don't do that to each other. Don't let this experience stop you from having friends in the future. Not everyone is off the rocker. It just sucks that you don't know how messed up people are until they show their real colors. I would have never thought she would have done something like this. I thought she was an amazing person. In the words of my estranged sister, that's what you get for thinking. Glad it all worked out for you. She sounds incredibly messed up. Thank God her lies didn't do the damage she obviously wanted them to. Yes, I'm so thankful he was able to snap her out of her lies. Now we have that recording, and the texts she sent me admitting she did lie, just in case she tries to lie about it again. Being accused of this sort of offense is the worst fear of many men. What a psycho. I know. feel bad that I put him in this situation. I should have let him give her a ride home when he insisted on doing so. Facts. I had some female friends telling me to go to parties, and I absolutely refused for fear of being near people that are intoxicated, because I'm terrified that one day someone will try and ruin my life with an accusation like this. Next story. I, 29 male, can't seem to forgive my sister, 26 female, after she completely bailed on me when I was on the brink of being homeless. My sister from a young age has had only one person to rely on, and that person was me. We come from a broken family, with one parent that was only around till I was 5 and the other who was stuck in a cycle of addiction. Because of our situation, I grew up very quickly and shielded her from things as much as I could. She obviously was aware of what was going on, but she was not in the crosshairs. I started with stealing from our mother to make sure we had food and bills were paid. I got a part-time job at 13 because we couldn't rely on our mother, and when I graduated high school, I immediately got 2 jobs and we moved out. I had to push my sister through high school. She wasn't an easy teen for obvious reasons, on top of going month to month trying to get as much money together to pay our bills. Then at 19, she finally graduated after being held back a year. She changed her tune a lot and she started working as well and had her own place when she was 21. I finally got a shot to do something for myself and got a degree. As a result, I got a much better job. But unfortunately, that was right before the pandemic hit. So I pretty much went from hired to fired as I was a new hire. Now, the reason I'm saying all that is not to pat myself on the back, but to stress why my reaction is the way it is. I was out of work, on the brink of losing my apartment. It only had one person who I expected I could turn to. My sister. She was recently married, still lives obviously, with her husband. So I asked if I could stay a few weeks, at most a few months until I got a new job. It was a no. I was taken aback, but it remained to be a no. A week or 2 later, I was kicked out of my apartment. So I asked again and it was a no. At this point, I'm homeless. And the only reason I didn't end up sleeping on the damn streets was because I could crash with a few friends until I got a temporary job. I rented a room with a bunch of roommates for a while. Eventually got a job in my field again and am now doing fine. That said, I have not spoken to my sister since. She has called, messaged, banged on my door, sent crying voice messages, apologized dozens of times, tried to explain herself, tried going to my job, tried going to friends. Everything. I haven't said a word to her, and it's been over a year now. She recently had a child and she is still desperately trying to reach out. She claims her husband refused to let me stay. He even reached out several times to beg me to reach out. But to me, the one time I needed her, she basically tells me to F myself. And I feel like it was the last push I needed to just end that chapter of my life. I feel bad, but just not bad enough, I guess. Even my friends and my girlfriend are on my case that I should forgive her. And that they understood it at first, but now think I'm being an a-hole. What would you guys do? Now for the top advice. Tell your friends and girlfriend that only you get to decide when you're ready to talk to your sister. That is not their place nor their business to try to force you into an interaction that you aren't emotionally ready for. And if they care about you at all, they will shut the hell up and let you do things when you are ready to do them. And send your sister one message telling her that you aren't closing the door on ever having a relationship with her, but you need her to back off and give you the time and space to work through your feelings of betrayal. That you will reach out to her when, and if, you are ready to, and not a minute before. And the more she pushes, the less you want to be around her. Then get into counseling to work through your feelings. Decide how much of a relationship with her you can handle emotionally, and then proceed from there. If your girlfriend and friends keep pushing, then they are only doing so for their own selfish purposes rather than out of concern for you, and you need to shut them down hard. This is a good advice. Some skeptical part of me is wondering why the sister wants Opie back in her life now that she has a baby. Babysitting? Defraying baby expenses? Wanting Opie to play the happy, generous uncle? If it was real guilt, she would have reached out earlier. And it seems like sister only reached out once Opie was back on his feet. Edited to add, it could be that all of Opie's sacrifices have led to her growing up to be very self-centered, because all along she's never had to think of someone else. Your friends and girlfriend need to back off when this isn't their situation. You decide what you want to do here. They have zero say in the matter. I completely get your anger. You, at your lowest point, needed help after spending your entire life helping her up. And she said, nah, that inconveniences me. I'd be upset too. The hardest part would be trusting her again, because she's already shown she isn't trustworthy. His friends and girlfriend have no idea what it's like to grow up hard like that. The betrayal is like a knife in the heart. Since the last question is, what would you do? It's easy. I would not reach out. I'm someone who will do pretty much anything for friends and family. But as soon as I'm done with someone, I'm done. There's no going back. Ever. Sure, sometimes I miss some people that were in my life, but never enough to get back on that decision. Last story. My husband wanted me to promise him to never date anyone if he passes. I, female 36, have been married to my husband Thomas, male 34, for 6 years. He has a chronic heart condition that made him suffer for years. We have 2 kids together and he adores them, but couldn't be with them all the time or do normal activities together due to his condition. I work to be able to pay for rent/expenses and medical bills, which are the hardest. It's been like this for years. Thomas's health is greatly declining, and we recently were able to get him a device to improve his heart function, but it's not a long-term solution. Lately, Thomas has been asking me or the kids to sleep in bed with him. Before that, he used to sleep alone for medical reasons, including using catheter and having medical devices in his hand and chest. He was at a hospital for 2 weeks and said he missed me and the kids, although I was with him often. Last night, he was talking to me about what the kids told him they wanted to become when they grow up. He took his time to talk because this was a highly emotional moment for him. He kept telling me he knew he wasn't going to witness how our kids will turn out and what they become when they grow up. He said he'd be lucky if he could attend their next birthday, which I admit could be an exaggeration on his part. But I let him vent about what's been bothering him and try not to interrupt him. He then started talking about us, asking me what I would do if he passed away. Those questions I couldn't find an easy answer for, but he proceeded to ask if I was going to start over with someone new. He pulled my face close to his and said he wanted me to promise him to never date anyone after him, no matter what. I don't know why, but I froze in my place. He kept looking at me, telling me to promise him in front of our kids. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel hesitant. I had a very odd feeling, and something told me to not do it, especially not when he decided to get the kids involved. I pulled away and assured him he's the love of my life and everything I care about, as well as our children. He got upset, saying I was avoiding his request, and said he didn't expect me to even hesitate, let alone refuse to promise. I calmly explained how heavy his words were, but he said I probably had no problem seeing and dating someone. It might as well get the kids a new dad. I swore I'd never force my kids to call someone else dad, and he flat out called me a liar to my face. This made me speechless. He loudly told me to get out of the room. I tried to get him to calm down, but he started yelling at me to stop talking to him, after I made it clear he didn't mean that much to me. Then he told me to understand something, which is that he's going to make the kids promise him that if I ever meet someone new, then they should cut me out of their lives and stay with his family. I was in a shock. I called him unreasonable for thinking this was an acceptable thing to do to our kids. He said I should be happy I will no longer be held back by the kids, and that they live with their grandparents and aunts, not some guy I get married to. He kept insulting me till I broke down crying. He asked me to leave the room and threatened to pull his cannula if I stayed. I immediately walked out because I didn't want to get himself hurt over an argument. I understand he was just feeling scared and worried, but I think he was being unfair towards me with how he spoke to me. I felt so bad to the point where I wished I said yes to his promise if I knew he'd react this way. Everyone keeps telling me to have some grace and be patient because Thomas is dealing with so much right now, but they keep forgetting that I'm struggling too. I barely eat and basically have no appetite. I handle everything and have no room to vent, and yet I'm somehow at fault for how he acted? Frankly, I have no idea why I didn't promise him what he wanted and feel like he was being too harsh on me. Even the family say no matter what he does, I should just grin and bear. But I'm not sure if I can take it anymore. This reminds me of another Reddit post where a dying woman had gifted her daughter a journal. And in the journal, she had bad-mouthed any future woman the dad might marry after her death. The poster kept the journal a secret, but those words poisoned her relationship with both her father and later her father's eventual wife. The father had no idea. It was a tremendously sad story. That little girl never, ever should have been subjected to the depressed, scared thoughts of a dying woman. That's what I thought when you said your kids were present when your husband tried to make your promise in front of them. Poisoning the future, because they'll remember this. You need help. Well, he needs help too, but let's start with you. You need someone to help work through this, because what he's doing is sabotaging your future with your kids, and that is not okay. Remember that you matter too, OP, and what you need matters. Terminally ill people undergo personality changes sometimes. People do and say all kinds of weird things when they're grieving and panicking. I don't expect him to be an angel who tells you to find love and happiness after his death, though some terminally ill people do. However, going so far as to try to make you promise, doing it in front of your kids, and threatening to emotionally blackmail you via your children is off the map. You and your children should be in therapy, as a group and perhaps individually. This is very hard, and you should have disinterested support from someone. OP, you need to do several things. 1. Right away sit your kids down and explain to them that daddy loves them, but is very sick, and that is making him say things he doesn't mean. It's hurtful, but they should be nice to him and not take the things he says too seriously. Above all, they should understand that promises made to someone who isn't in their right mind don't count, because he will try to get them to promise him things. 2. Talk to his doctor and see if there's any medical reason he might be cognitively affected. 3. Keep the kids away from him except when you're there, so that you can head off these kids of toxic conversations. 4. Therapy for everybody. That's very manipulative, and in no way should you even consider what he's saying. He needs straight-up help. His request is one thing. He needs reassurance that he's your one true love or whatever. I guess I get that, but it's a request and not one you should be guilted into obliging. No, the moment he chose to berate you and put your kids against you is absolutely messed up. I honestly wouldn't stand for it if I were you. I don't care how terminal his condition is. That doesn't give him a free pass to be a callous, manipulative a-hole.